I got into bees and taking care of them bugs and being in the colony and in the hive. There's just something, it changed me. It changed the way I felt. It gave me a purpose. I feel closer to my higher power when I'm working with these bees. And it changed my life. It gave me a new addiction. I enjoy beekeeping, and it's been phenomenal. It's been one of the best decisions that I've ever made.
We all have our own story, and I have a great story to share with you guys today. Here on the brucesbees channel, we have Bracken Barker from out in Utah. If you'll recall, Bracken came down and helped me harvest honey back a few weeks ago. He came down here and joined us in the hot and steamy South here in Southeast Alabama. So Bracken, I'm going to give you just a minute to kind of introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Bracken with Barker Bees and Honey. I'm 34 years old. I run about close to 40 colonies. I'm a little shy of 40 right now, give or take. I run a 100-acre farm with my father, and I also have a full-time job as a lineman. I work on the power lines, and just got a promotion there at that job, so that's been keeping me pretty busy, and life's been pretty good ever since I got bees, and we can get into that more and talk about how that became. So
I've heard your story, Bracken. It's just an incredible story. And I've also watched your channel a fair amount recently, and you're putting some pretty good stuff out. You're just kind of trying to show what you're doing, what works and what doesn't. And just you also share some videos of life on the farm, and they've been pretty interesting to watch. The last few videos I've been watching. Briefly tell us what your channel name is and where they can find you on YouTube.
It's Barker's Bees and Honey, and I think you can just Google that or search it, and it should pop right up. The symbols looks like that, so that's
All right.
my YouTube channel.
And what is the main purpose of your channel? What are you trying to bring to the masses with your channel?
Yeah, I just think it's fun sharing experiences. I don't edit mine a whole lot. I do a little bit of editing, but I just do it on my phone. I just use my iPhone for my filming, and I just want people to see the real stuff. Not that the editing and stuff is bad, because the only reason I don't do that is because I don't know how to do it. It's not that I think it's bad. I just don't. So when you get my videos, you're going to get what's in there, because I don't know how to take a part out and clip it and mute it or do this or that. You'll just hear what I have to say, and it might be rambling and it might not be. But for my channel, I don't know. I'm just doing it just kind of for fun. I don't know. I want to help somebody out. If there's a beekeeper here in Utah that's struggling, that has ideas or needs some guidance, I hope that my channel can maybe help people in this area, because I know beekeeping is so different where you are versus where I'm at versus where Ian's at, where all sorts of people. We got Glade Sessions, he's got his channel, but there's not a lot of video or stuff of how to beekeep in northern Utah climate, I guess, or southern Idaho, or wherever my boundaries kind of are. So if somebody can stumble on my channel and I can help a new beekeeper or entertain somebody, then great.
There's not a lot of editing needed. I mean, you do a really good job with what you're putting out. So I'd encourage folks to go check out your channel at Barker's Bees and Honey on YouTube. It's good stuff. And let's dive right in, Bracken. One of the reasons I wanted to have you on is because you have just a really cool story, I would say, of redemption. You've overcome a lot. And you mentioned to me, I think one time you mentioned that the bees saved your life. I'd like you to go back and kind of tell your story and just share with us how that is so. And I'm going to turn it over to you. Just take it away.
Okay. Well, I'll apologize ahead of time if I do I'll try not to get too emotional, but yeah, my story's kind of different. And well, it's not. The more I tell it and the more I talk to people, the more I actually find out that there's quite a few people that have a pretty similar story to me, and they might have a different outcome or a different way that they came out of what they were going. But when I was younger, in high school, I drank a little bit of alcohol for fun in school, and dabbled here and there. And then I actually ended up serving a mission for my church. I did a 2-year mission there, and I served over in Maine. And I did good. I enjoyed that. When I came home, I decided I wanted to join the military. When I joined the military, I met some friends and some brothers that I love dearly to this day, and I met a group of guys that were a lot different than where I grew up. They had, tattoos. They had a lot different lifestyle and outlook on life than where I was born and raised. And I was married at the time that I joined the military to my first wife, and we were married about 3 years. And I wanted to live the alcohol life and the party life more than I wanted to be a husband. And so we ended up getting a divorce, and it was a fairly mutual, easy divorce. It was civil. We just did it online and did it together. And I started to fall away from some of my personal beliefs and really started drinking, and some drugs were involved. It was mostly alcohol, but I got married again, and I had a little daughter, and she changed my life and saved my life too, but in a different way. The bees, we'll get into the bees here in just a minute on the story, but they helped me in kind of a different manner. But obviously, my daughter was a huge blessing to me, and things didn't work out with that wife either. And I thought it was, at the time, I was blaming everybody else and thought everybody else was the problem. And I missed some time of my daughter's life, of her growing up. I wasn't able to see her or be around her at the time, and it really had an effect on me. And I started to use alcohol as a fix, and I was trying to, you know, drown my emotions and my feelings. And I was a functioning alcoholic. I had a job. I kept a job. It wasn't like I was laying on the side of the street, but I would cope with alcohol. I'd sit at the farm, and I'd sit in a little shed that I had, and I'd just drink till I couldn't. I'd just drink the night away, and then wake up and go to work and do it again when I got home. But I had a moment in my life where I kind of hit a rock bottom for me. The rock bottom was, I was on the fire department, and I went on a medical call. I was first, like, a volunteer firefighter, first responder, and I went on this car crash that involved, there were 4 kids, I think, and out of those 4 kids, we life-lighted 3 of them to a hospital, and 2 of them passed away. One was dead on the scene, and one died at the hospital, and then the other 2, they survived. And there was some alcohol, I believe, in that wreck, and it made me kind of start realizing that I might have a problem. I had a buddy that actually I've known for quite a while. He reached out to me and asked me if I did have a problem drinking, and I told him, no, I don't have a problem drinking. I'm fine. And he kind of pinned me down and was like, no, really, do you have a problem? And I started to realize that I did. I started to quit drinking, and I started to get really sick, and my body was going through alcohol withdrawals, and I struggled for a while. And that's when I realized I did have a problem. I started to go to some meetings, and I realized that 99% of my problems in the life were caused by me and not by everybody that I was blaming. Now, I'm not undermining what some people did to me, because there were some mistakes that people made towards me that they shouldn't have done, but I can forgive and forget and move on with them. Anyways, so how the bees got involved was, I got bees, and it was the first hobby that I had that I didn't tie with alcohol. Most everything that I did in my life, I would drink while I was doing it, whether it was shooting my guns, or, I know that's a bad combination, don't do it, but anything that I did, I was associating alcohol with my hobby. Well, I got into bees and taking care of them bugs, and being in the colony and in the hive. There's just something, it changed me. It changed the way I felt. It gave me a purpose of something to do besides drink. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but instead of drinking, I would go take care of my bees. if I was having a bad moment or a bad time, I would go out to the bees and either just sit by them and just watch them flying in and out of the colony. That started to become my new addiction, my new love. And once I got into the bees, I got really involved, and I went out and bought 3 or 4 nooks, and then I split them. And again, I decided I was going to learn everything that I could about bees before, because the last time my father and I did it, we failed at it. And I didn't want to fail at this one because I had been failing my whole life, and I wanted to do something that I wasn't going to fail at. Now, I've still had some failures, but that's okay. I'm learning and growing. I learned from these bees that there's a there's a higher power, whatever you I'm not trying to preach religion here or anything, but there's something about those bees, that the way that they work and the way that they are involved with the world and the way that they coexist with the farm and how important they are to this world. I feel at peace, and I feel closer to my higher power when I'm working with these bees. And it changed my life. It gave me a new addiction. I enjoy beekeeping, and it's been phenomenal. It's been one of the best decisions that I've ever made.
Well, so you mentioned you had bees back in several years ago with your dad, and it just didn't work out. And then you kind of got away from it, went off to the military and everything, came back, and now here you are. Since you have gotten back into the bees, and you've kind of seen the hand of God in these bugs in a box, and you've seen the miracle that they are, how has your life turned around, and kind of where are you at now?
I've got about 2.5 years of sobriety, um, and the bees. Oh man, I do owe a lot of credit to them bugs in a box. They did save me. I am so much. I've got a new. I'm married again, so I'm on my third marriage. Third time's a charm, and I'm so much happier. I'm so much better off where I was. I'm not so pessimistic. I count my blessings rather than taking things for granted, because I just about lost everything that I had, and I was pretty close to losing everything that I had. And where I'm at today now, we're working on building a house. We've got some land that my grandma and my dad let me take from the farm, because we're going to run the farm, and so we're getting a house going, and life has just been so much better. I'm in so much better of a space, and I love those bees, and I really do owe so much credit to them. They've been such a magical insect that's been phenomenal.
That's a good way to put it, and I think, Rack, your story is one of many. I think in my case, um, I was we're all different, right? And my situation is more of I've always tried different things, and this the satisfaction that comes through beekeeping in my life has just really helped me. They've just given me a purpose, I guess, in a lot of ways. I mean, obviously there is a higher purpose than bees in this life, right? But they kind of help make that connection. I've always had like an entrepreneurial spirit, or like a just a want to try the next thing or have a hobby or some way to do something on the side, and tried several things before I got into bees, and I've even tried a couple things since to kind of help a little bit as well. But the bees have just I've latched onto that, and it's been extremely good to me as well, my psyche and everything. And I don't know what it is, but I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that there's a higher power involved, and to me, there's something divine about it. When you open up you open up a really nice, strong, healthy colony, and there's just nothing quite like it. The rhythmic motions of the bees, they're all working together. The smells that you have, it's just amazing. You look at the front of the colony, and they're flying in and out, bringing pollen in, and they're just busy doing their thing, and it's all so organized, and it's almost like organized chaos. I'm not sure how to describe it, but it's really cool. But what I wanted to ask you now is, obviously, Bracken, you're not the only person that's gone through something like this or that's had a difficult time in life. And I know particularly it's an issue with a lot of military, both active duty and vets that have been in the military, problems they've had. And we all know the number 22 of military veterans that that choose a more difficult path and just kind of give up on life. Supposedly each day, I think that's a statistic, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah, it's 22 days.
I'd like you to speak just a minute at people, whether military veterans or first responders or just anyone in life that's going through something difficult. You've been through some things, and you're coming out on the good side of this thing. You're really moving in the right direction. What kind of advice would you give from your experience? It could be beekeeping or anything else. Just what kind of wisdom or experience would you have to help someone maybe who's having a hard time, and maybe if they get a chance to watch this video, what would you tell someone in that situation?
Oh, that's a good question. So, yeah, anybody struggling with any sort of PTSD or addiction, whether it's alcohol or drugs or there's tons of different addictions out there, but you can do it. If there's somebody out there struggling and they need help, find help, especially vets and first responders. I know I've been both and I've seen things on both sides, you know, that stick with you at night, or you watch a movie and you see something and it flashes you back to certain events and it causes problems. And find something that you love and enjoy, and surround yourself with people that support you. And that was my biggest thing. I was blaming most of the people around me for my problems, and really they were just there to help. So if you have somebody there to help you, whether it's a wife or a kid or father, whoever it may be, listen to them, get help. It's okay to have problems. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to have people think they have to live these perfect lives. I'm 34 years old. I've been an alcoholic. I've been divorced twice. My life looks like chaos if you look at, and I'm just scratching the surface here of my problems and the things that I've gone through. But if there's people that are listening, especially military and first responders, first off, thank you for your service and thank you for all that you do for this country. And I'm super grateful for everyone who served. My sponsor, or not my sponsor, my mentor, a beekeeper. He's a veteran. He was in the military and he was during Desert Storm, and he was a combat engineer, phenomenal man. And he's got some, I'm sure he won't mind me sharing this because we've talked about it. He's got some PTSD and he's into bees as well. And he'd say the same thing. Someday maybe we can get him on an interview, but he's the real deal. He was overseas, he fought, he did some stuff, and he's got some serious issues caused by it, but those bees have saved him too. He talks to me all the time how they're so peaceful. So find something that you love, find a passion and do it, and know that it's okay for where you're at. I wanted to mention that the bees were another way they saved me. Was it was something that I wanted to do. Now I've done a lot of things for other people. I've helped my dad farm my whole life. I've been raised on the farm, and I do it for him, and I do this for so and so or this for that. And the bees are one thing that I do for myself, and they're one thing that I chose to do for myself. And that has made such a difference. It's something that I love, something that I care about. And just, if you're struggling, find something, find somebody, and seek help. I don't know if that's, don't give up, because giving up's not the answer. I know that. That 22 number a day, I actually have a bracelet. I don't have it on right now, but it says, don't give in to the war within. And it's a veteran 22 bracelet, and I wear it all the time because I know there's so many people that have wars within inside themselves, and a lot of them do give in, but don't give in.
And that's some good stuff, Bracken. And you know, that's something I really can't. I was never in the military, and I've never had a lot of those issues, but I can't even imagine. There is an organization called Hives for Heroes. I'd encourage anyone, if you're going through something, if you're looking for something to do to get your mind off of those problems you're having, whether it be addiction or just negative thoughts that you're having. If you're interested in beekeeping, go check it out. Hives for Heroes. It's a program that's set up for mentors and mentees to get together. It's nationwide, and it's a phenomenal organization, and they're doing a good work. I believe it's it's saved a lot of lives. I've heard it's interesting that so many people, Bracken, in your exact situation, have really done well with the bees. But I think what I would encourage someone to do if they're in a situation like that, whether it's bees or not, connect with something, I would say, involving nature, whether it be, some type of a camping type hobby or beekeeping or just something. Get out and connect with something outdoors, and something that because when you begin to see those little miracles that happen, the bees don't care what you've done. They don't care. Your farm doesn't care. Those kind of things, you can get out there and just lose yourself in that for a little while. And with the bees, your mind is occupied. You're looking for things, you're watching, you're observing. You can see the miracles take place right in front of your very eyes. I know if I see like a little bee emerge from the cell, I mean, that's just awesome, just to see that little hairy little pale little bee come out and just go right to work. And you witness miracles, honestly, thousands of miracles right before your eyes. And if you get attuned to it, if you take the time to watch, I think it helps to absorb some of those problems that you've been battling with in your mind. Am I correct with that, Bracken? Do you think, does that make
Oh,
sense?
absolutely. My mind is so clear, and so when I'm with the bees, I'm thinking bees, and I'm not thinking about anything else. I mean, obviously there's thoughts of things, but it clears my mind. Another thing that I feel I want to say, I mean, if anybody ever wants to, talking to somebody who understands what it's one thing to talk about to somebody who, everybody, like, there's a lot of people that love you and care about you and listen, but somebody who has gone through some of those things, talking to them, it can make a difference. So find somebody that has had some of those problems. And I opened my YouTube channel up. If you want to message me on there or on the comments, I have other social media that I would be willing to give out. So you could message me if you want to talk about. I know that's kind of opening a broad door, but I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to talk to any vets or any first responders or anybody struggling with any type of addiction. Just sometimes just having that person that you don't know that knows. When I go to my AA meetings, I don't know half the people in there, but I relate to them so much, and they're such a huge blessing in my life and so critical to my sobriety and staying where I'm at, because there are people out there that are struggling that are just like me and you. There's people that have good jobs and have good family, good this, but they have battles and they're struggling. So find somebody and reach out.
Everybody, regardless, has their own battles that they fight. I think the important thing to realize is that no matter who you are, no matter who you see out there, rich or poor, healthy or sick, everyone has battles they're fighting. Everyone has inner struggles. And like you said, that war within. And we've all been exposed to, seen different things. It's just, this has gotten into some pretty serious and some pretty deep stuff, but I think it needs to be said. Bracken, I appreciate you being willing to come on today. And also to those watching this video, when Bracken says he wants to help, he means it. Bracken came down here late June and helped us harvest honey in this heat and humidity down here. And just, I got a chance to spend a lot of time with you in those 3 or 4 days you were here, and just a genuine, I don't know of a more genuine person than you, Bracken. It was an honor to have you here, and it was really good to have your work ethic here too, because we needed it with all that honey we pulled. But anyway, if you want to watch those videos, you can go back on my channel. I'll put a link to that playlist in my description as well, where Bracken's in a couple of those videos. So that was a good time as well. And we had a tremendous time, great crew, and a lot of fun. And Bracken got to experience Alabama a little bit down here, and meet some of these awesome beekeepers down here as well. Well, Bracken, I think this video is going to have an impact on some people because of you and your example of what you've come through and where you're at now. And I look forward to watching you as you continue along your journey, both in beekeeping and in life, and hope to be able to get together again, either out there or down here again, and just do it all over again. But I'd encourage everyone out there to go check out Bracken's channel. It's just kind of a new channel, and he's growing it, and he puts mostly beekeeping stuff, but some farming videos on there as well. And I've seen some pretty neat stuff on there, Bracken, some of the things you're doing, and just an awesome family, and just you're doing some good things.
Well, thanks, Bruce. I sure appreciate all you guys on YouTube, Bruce, and even some of those that I haven't talked to, Cayman and Ian, and I talked with how do you say the guy's name?
Rainier.
Yeah,
Renier.
I had an interview with him a little bit ago and talked to him. Great guy. The brotherhood and the friendship that I'm finding here in beekeeping, it's kind of funny how everything has its own little. The military and first responders have a very tight group friendship. Well, beekeepers have a pretty tight knit group too, and it's pretty neat. You know, I've got a friend in California that I've met through beekeeping, Alabama, Maine. I've talked to Ian very little, but it's just so cool. And somebody in Australia, talk to them, and it's just such a sweet thing to be able to have people like you, Bruce, to reach out and talk to that has experience. And I appreciate everything that you've done for me and gave me the opportunity for this and for everything else that you've helped me with.
Yeah, it's been really cool. That's one of the things I've found as my YouTube channel has been around for a while, is just the community of friends that I have all over the world, really, and a lot of the people I've met and some I haven't in person, but it's just been phenomenal. And most people in this beekeeping niche or in this particular hobby or business or whatever you want to call it are just pretty friendly and get along well. Especially, I know that I've had contact with Ian and with you and with Glade and with Jose, the California beekeeper, and of course Brian and Greg. And I'm going to leave somebody out if I keep trying to name people, but literally all over the country and all over the world, but especially all over the country, different regions. But it's also critical. You mentioned one thing earlier, Bracken, as well, is that you're one of just a couple of guys that I know of in Utah that are doing these videos. There's probably more, but I'm not aware of them. You and Glade are the two main ones that I see out there. You're doing an important thing, I think, for that region. I know a lot of people have bees out there, but I think there's a lot of people don't have channels, or not a lot of people sharing what they're doing or trying to share. There are some, like I say, but you two are the two that I'm most aware of, and you guys are both kind of getting your YouTube channel started, and so it's pretty cool to see you guys doing that. Well, I appreciate you coming on today, Bracken. I really think this is a story that needed to be told, and it's really about much more than just bees. This is about a life-saving change that happened to you, and it can happen to others as well. Everybody has their own story in beekeeping and in life, and everybody has good times and bad times. But I think your story is one of redemption, man. It's just I know you and I believe in God and a higher power, and I believe that He is a merciful being that wants us to overcome. And that's the whole reason for the plan that we have before us, and that's the whole reason we're here, is to learn how to overcome and to be redeemed, so to speak, of those difficult things that we go through. And only through Him can we do that. But there are people along the way. We have angels on the other side of the veil. We also have angels here on this earth, in this world, that can help us. And I believe that bees are involved in that. At least in my life, I know that for sure, for certain. And so I think that your story is a tremendous story, a story of redemption, a story of conquering a lot of things. Although you still have things, we all have things we got to overcome, but you're on the way. I heard a story once. It doesn't matter really where you are on that ladder or on that path. If it's an uphill path, it's which direction you're going. And so that's one thing I like to look at when I see people who are really struggling or downtrodden, having a difficult time. Like you mentioned earlier, rock bottom. But when you hit rock bottom is when you started moving in the right direction. That's a better direction to be going, and you're in better shape in that position than someone who's near the top of that hill or that ladder who starts going the opposite direction. And so really it's not about where we're at on the ladder, it's which direction we're going. I believe that firmly. And I think you're a prime example, Bracken, of someone who's has overcome much, is overcoming still, and you're going to do great things in this world and in the beekeeping industry as well. I truly believe that. As we close this thing out, Bracken, tell us once again where we can find you, and if you got any final words for us, we'd love to hear it.
Barker's Bees and Honey. You can Google it. I got links to everything. I could social, Instagram, Facebook. It's all under Barker's Bees. You can reach out to me anyway through those, or YouTube here. It's just Barker's Bees and Honey is the channel name, and look for that little symbol and you'll find me.
Awesome. Any final thoughts?
Nope. Thanks for having me on here, Bruce.
All right, man. We sure appreciate you coming on today, Bracken. And it was a tremendous few minutes here I was able to spend with you. And I think that folks out there in the YouTube world will also feel inspired by your story. And hopefully someone who's struggling right now will also have an opportunity to turn it around. And whether it is with these bugs in a box or whether it's some other way, we just hope and pray that you can overcome the battles that you're facing at this time, and and move ahead. We need you here. You need to stay with us.
Don't give in to the war within.
Thanks, Bracken. Take care, man.
Yeah, thanks.
And I appreciate you coming on today.